Let's talk everything we know so far on Firestarter. The remake, that is, that's coming out this year. To be more specific, let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
We're gonna get you.
Oh, Lord on the beast! God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today specifically, I have Firestarter, the 2022 remake that we're going to get into in just a second. We're going to talk about every single thing we know about this film so far, every shred of evidence that I could find out on the internet. Before I do that though, if you're new here, I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe and then like this video, or hell, dislike it, I don't care. Just interact with this video somehow so it gets thrown into the algorithm. That's the secret to why I say this at the beginning of every single video, if you weren't already aware. Anyways, getting into everything we know so far about the new Firestarter film. It is going to be a much different movie than the original one. I'm sure you have already seen that from the trailer that came out just a couple of days ago. The film will be directed by Keith Thomas. Now, if you're unfamiliar with his name, he is sort of new to the horror scene. He recently did the movie called The Vigil. Keith Thomas is a really interesting director. I love the cinematography in that movie so far, and the way the dialogue is written and portrayed. The characters are done really well. I think there's a lot of potential in The Vigil. It looks like it's going to be a really good movie. From what I've seen so far, I really like it. There are gorgeous shots, there's great lines of dialogue, and it's natural lines of dialogue, I should say that. It feels very like natural conversation, very free-flowing. It does seem like Keith Thomas knows what he's doing when it comes to making a horror film. But it's also written by Scott Teems, who you're probably a lot more familiar with if you guys have watched the new Halloween films, Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. This was one of the guys that was writing the screenplay alongside like Danny McBride. So that's pretty exciting to have him on this crew. It's also done by Blumhouse, same production company that did all the Halloween movies, doing this new Firestarter as well, and more people that are attached to this project, which if you're not familiar with these people, I don't even know what to tell you. The music for Firestarter 2022 will be done by none other than horror legend, maybe the best horror director of all time, John Carpenter, and his son Cody. And of course, Daniel Davies. All three of these people were the ones that did, of course, the music in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and will be doing it in Halloween Ends. And of course, John Carpenter did Halloween and like The Fog and like all those horror classics from the 80s and late 70s. It's just an awesome team that we have for this new Firestarter movie. Maybe like an overqualified team to make the new Firestarter opposed to like something else. I don't know. I just think it's awesome. It's like, that's sweet. I have a lot of faith in this movie. Although I did feel the trailer was a bit cheesy at points, and the cast is kind of where I have a negative about. So the film stars Zac Efron as the dad, or Andy McGee, if you're familiar with the characters of the original film. It's the same ones here. And of course, this is based off of Stephen King's book, if you were unfamiliar. I have not read this one. I like talking about horror movies where I've read the book. I've read like It's, Pet Sematary. I can talk about those all day. I can talk about the books and the adaptations, the movie adaptations of those respective works, but like this one I have not read, unfortunately. But that is one I'm going to add to the list, and when I have some time, I will read Firestarter so I can talk about some differences between the movie and the book. I think that would be a cool video. But it stars Zac Efron as the dad, and although I believe he is described as being like an attractive younger guy, like in his 30s, because like they were him and his like wife or whatever, his girlfriend, they were in college when they had Charlie's character, who is of course the Firestarter, originally played by Drew Barrymore in the 1980s film. She will be played by Ryan Kiera Armstrong in this movie, and honestly, great casting decision there. She looks just like Drew Barrymore did when she was a kid, and wow, that's a really good I don't know, it's just a great casting choice in my opinion. There's like that recreation of the shot from the original film where her hair's blowing back and there's fire everywhere, which is just like a super chaotic shot. I love it. And they kind of recreate it in the trailer, which like I'm not a big fan of recreating shots from the original movie when you do a remake like this, but I will say it does look like a Firestarter film. They didn't just get some random little girl to be in this movie. They picked someone that kind of looks like young Drew Barrymore, which is perfect. I think if you're gonna cast for a new movie like this, yeah, give her the same look that she had in the original. But Zac Efron being the star is odd to me. Like I don't love Zac Efron. I loved him in some of those comedy movies that he was in. That was great. But like, did I watch the High School Musical movies? No. But I am hoping for a good performance from him. I hope that this is a great movie. I'm rooting for this movie. So no diss. I guess I kind of did just diss Zac Efron, but like, I just haven't seen him in anything besides like comedies where I was like, oh, this guy can act. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we get a good performance from him, but it is kind of an odd choice in my opinion. Talking about the trailer a little further though, we get some really cool stuff from this trailer that I want to discuss. Like for example, I was just talking about the perfect recreation of shots from the original film. I don't always love this in a remake, but if you're gonna like stand on the shoulders of giants, sure, take the best elements from those movies and bring them into your own. That's totally fine with me. And this shot is really cool. So it's like, yeah, I'm fine with that being recreated. And it's done really well. It looks like it's done well, at least. It's not like the 2010, 2011 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, where they just recreated all the shots from that movie, but way worse. And also stole lines of dialogue of Freddy's and then just randomly put it in the third act. Something that didn't look great in the trailer, which is another like kind of groan moment, was when the bird explodes, and it's just like the worst digital effects ever, and it just does not look good. Man, I mean, I'm fine with a little bit of like CGI in your movies, but you got to do it right, man. You got to actually spend the time on it and make it look right, or it sucks. Just do practical if you can't go the digital route. That's what I say. I don't understand how Radio Silence, for example, can have this awesome digital creature in their movie and make it look so real, but then Blumhouse does it and it doesn't look good. Like, this is the Disney of horror, and they can't do digital effects in their movies? What? Like, it's such a weird thing to me. But then you have the low budget Radio Silence guys doing it better than anybody else. Like, who's their team? Get their team on these Blumhouse projects. What the hell? I don't know. Kind of a weird thing. And another thing about the trailer that I didn't love at first, but I've actually come to like, is some of the cheesy one-liners that Charlie's character has. And the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, if a young girl was a killer, this would be the one-liners she would have. It makes sense. But so I'm kind of okay with it. It's like, it's very Freddy Krueger-esque. It's a little weird, but you know what? I'll take it. Like, this is clearly going for that 80s B-movie feel, with especially with John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies on the project. Like, yeah, you're going for an 80s horror feel. So yeah, to have the one-liners, whatever. If that's kind of the vibe this movie goes for, I'm down for it. Sure, I'll check it out. But one of the lines was, "Liar, liar, pants on fire." I don't know why I said it in that voice, but wow, that's the first time I saw it. I was like, really? Like, you had me up until the bird explosion and the one-liners, but now I've kind of been like, okay, that's pretty cool. The other one was, "I don't want to hurt anyone, but it feels kind of good," and that's such a weird line. Why did you make someone say that? I don't like that. There's so many things you can go off of with that. But anyways, yeah, the one-liners are kind of whack. But like, yeah, if a little girl was a killer, these would be the one-liners she would come up with. So like, okay, all right, you know, it kind of makes sense. Sure, whatever, I'll take it. I'm nonetheless, with all these negatives, I am very excited for a new version of Firestarter. I do like the original film. It's never been like one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations or like stories, but it's interesting, and I think it's a perfect time for this film to come out. If anything, it should have came out in like 2018 when like Stranger Things was at its highest, because like they're definitely giving me some Stranger Things vibes with this new movie, which is perfect. 80s nostalgia, like, yeah, that's exactly what you should be going for with Firestarter. 11 is basically just Charlie from Firestarter. That's all her character really is. It's a very similar situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took that route and they went with the 80s nostalgia thing, even though like 90s nostalgia is kind of in right now. I'm still down for that. Like, and also we have a new season of Stranger Things coming out, so like, it's perfect. I think as long as these films come out around the same time, that would be awesome. Firestarter will be in theaters and on streaming only on Peacock on May 13th. So you can check that out this year in just a couple of months. Who's excited for Firestarter? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Personally, yeah, I'm excited. I will check it out. out. I'm a little worried, but the team behind this film is awesome. It's basically a similar team to the last 2 Halloween movies. I really liked those. I'm excited to see what they do with a wildly different concept like Firestarter, opposed to just Michael Myers walking around killing people. So, can't wait to see this film. I am pumped for it. What do you guys think? Leave me something about it in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching this Everything We Know video on the new Firestarter. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new here. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you want to help support this channel further, you can check out my Patreon. The link for that will be in the description below. Just for $1 a month, you get an extra video every single month. And if you support me at higher tiers, you'll get even more videos every single month. So that's pretty awesome. Make sure to check that out. The link for my Patreon is in the description below. Thank you all for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.